Rama, great to have you on the show with us, and an interesting theme this year at the table or on the menu. So give us a sense after day one what the key concerns for business leaders are as they gather to address those challenges.
Indeed, Uche, the theme is particularly relevant, right? So to pick up on an example from the Rwandese president, Paul Kagame, one of the arguments he was making was, this business where we essentially dig things out of the ground, ship that for refinement and processing in a third country, and then African consumers essentially get to buy the finished product back. In his words, is simply not viable. And where I am at the moment in Kigali is pretty much emblematic, right, of that, because right next door you've got the Democratic Republic of Congo with its enormous mineral resource endowment, and yet it still doesn't have a proper refining industry in place for various reasons. A lack of capital is expensive. Our domestic saving rates are especially low, so if you're going to find capital from some other location outside the continent, well, it comes with strings attached. For example, if you're going to borrow money from the United States Exim Bank, they're not going to lend you money to buy Airbus planes, right? They want to keep their capital within companies that essentially they want to support within their own economy. So those are some of the concerns that came up. FX risk management is a particularly big one, because if you say you want to trade across Africa, granted, we want to expand our market. We want, say, for example, dairy farmers to be able to sell cheese or milk powder into markets in West Africa. But are Kenyan farmers going to accept to be paid in Ghanaian cedi or Nigerian naira? Probably not. Do the systems exist in the first place to actually allow that transaction to take place? Yes, the Exim Bank has been working on that with the Pan-African Payment Settlement System. PAPS is the acronym they use for that particular service. But at the end of the day, there's a question of trust, hard infrastructure, the roads and the rails and the ports need to get goods across borders, but at the same time, the soft infrastructure, the standards and the consistency in the implementation of those standards. One of the panels that I moderated in the afternoon had representatives from MSC, the Mediterranean Shipping Company, biggest shipping company in the world. And one of the SVPs was basically pointing out, look, if on one part of the border between Tanzania and Rwanda, getting a truck across that border takes 30 minutes. But if you go to Zambia and you're trying to get a truck across the border, that's, for the sake of argument, moving copper down to the port of Durban, that can take days. So there are examples across the continent where things do work. The question now that is being posed by the private sector to policymakers over here is, we know these things can work. Can we please have consistency in implementation and then scale that across borders?